Have you ever noticed that the loudest roar in the forest comes from the animal that is the most hungry, while the tiger hunts in absolute silence? Have you ever felt that the more you try to defend your honor with words, the more your dignity seems to slip away? Hundreds of years ago, before the world was filled with the noise of machines and phones, people knew a secret that we have forgotten. They knew that silence isn't just the absence of sound, it is the ultimate source of power. Many years ago, in a village tucked between high mountains, lived a young man named Kavi. Kavi was a talented weaver. He made the finest silk robes in the land. But Kavi had a restless spirit. He was sensitive to every whisper. If a neighbor whispered that his colors were too bright, Kavi would spend all night trying to explain his art to them. If a merchant tried to pay him less than he deserved, Kavi would argue until the sun went down, leaving him exhausted and bitter. One day, a rival weaver moved to the village. This man was jealous of Kavi's skill. He began spreading lies, telling the villagers that Kavi's silk was stolen from a distant city. Kavi was furious. He went to the village square every day to shout his innocence. He gathered crowds to show them his looms. He begged people to believe him. But the more he shouted, the more the villagers doubted him. They thought, if he is so innocent, why is he acting so desperate? Kavi's looms grew dusty. His hands shook with anger. He was losing his business, his sleep, and his soul to a battle of words. In a cave at the top of the mountain lived an old monk who had not spoken a single word in 20 years. Desperate, Kavi climbed the mountain. He fell at the monk's feet and cried, "Master, how do I fight these lies? How do I make the people see the truth? My words are failing me." The monk looked at Kavi with eyes as clear as a mountain spring. He didn't speak. Instead, he led Kavi to a small fire burning outside the cave. He handed Kavi a heavy wooden fan used to stoke the flames. "Blow the fire," the monk gestured. Kavi began to fan the flames violently. The fire grew huge and wild, sparks flying everywhere, burning Kavi's hands and stinging his eyes. The smoke became so thick he couldn't see the monk's face. The monk gently took the fan away and set it on the ground. He sat down and simply watched the fire. Without the wind from the fan, the fire calmed down. It became a steady, beautiful glow. The monk picked up a stick and wrote in the dirt, "Your anger is the fan. The lies are the sparks. When you fight the sparks with wind, you only create a wildfire that burns you. When you sit in silence, the sparks have nowhere to land, and the fire returns to its true size." Kavi looked at his burnt hands. He realized that for months, he had been the one keeping the fire of his enemy alive. By reacting, he was giving the lies oxygen. He looked at the monk, who sat in perfect stillness. The monk didn't need to tell anyone he was holy. His presence said it for him. Kavi realized that truth doesn't need to be defended. It simply is. Kavi walked back down the mountain. He didn't go to the village square. He went straight to his workshop. The next morning, his rival stood outside Kavi's door and shouted insults, calling him a thief. Kavi heard the words, but he didn't open the door. He sat at his loom and felt the rhythm of the silk. Day after day, the rival shouted, and day after day, Kavi remained silent. He focused entirely on his craft. When people passed by and asked, "Kavi, why don't you answer him?" Kavi would only smile and offer them a cup of tea. He didn't explain. He didn't argue. He just worked. Months passed. The rival weaver eventually grew tired. Since he got no reaction, he looked foolish, shouting at a silent door. Eventually, he left the village in shame. Kavi's silk became more beautiful than ever before because his mind was finally quiet. The villagers noticed the change. They saw his calm, his focus, and his lack of fear. They realized that a man with such inner peace could never be a thief. Kavi didn't win because he had the better argument. He won because he refused to join the fight.
We live in a world that demands a reaction to everything. Every comment, every criticism, every insult feels like a stone thrown at us. But remember, Kavi, your energy is your most precious currency. Don't spend it on people who only want to see you lose your balance. Silence is not about losing. It is about keeping your soul intact. When you are silent, you are the master of the moment. Stories end, but lessons stay. If this touch your heart, like, subscribe and share it with others.